back down.
Hey! I don't know, I'm over here, I'm barely in this camera. Hello! How's everyone? Yeah, we're here this lovely, lovely Thursday evening doing our things. Wednesday.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Hello baby, the fluff.
So it's
She's
Sunday.
joining
The
us.
fluff. The fluff is joining.
Hello baby.
Yeah, we have the fluff. Do you know what that means, people?
It's fluff's time.
It's time for
Yes.
fluff.
Hello baby.
It's time for fluff.
Hello baby. She might. No.
And the fluff hasn't joined us. The
That's-
fluff is on the
She
floor.
left. Okay.
Yeah, the fluff's here, but
Not-
the fluff
not
isn't
yet.
here. She's
Not
in
yet.
spirit, but not in body.
Well,
But-
she's in body, but just.
She's, just not
Abandoned us
available.
already.
Yeah. Anyway,
not worthy.
welcome everyone. We're here. We're doing the thing again. We're doing the stuff. Yes, there's papers all over the place. There's books. We've got like a whole
There's
bunch of
so
new
much
toys.
happening.
We've got stuff. Okay, we're not even talking about this tonight because there's so many better people who have spoken about it. But still, we can speak about it one day when we want to. And
Once the FAQ comes out, then
Yes.
one involves the other.
I
What
don't
is
think it
it?
will.
Nah.
I don't think it will.
I'm being facetious.
No, but
Yeah.
the buff is needed on one, the nerf is not needed on the other. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Right, who we got here? We got Jason. How you doing? We got Corn Patch, which
Yo,
is
yo,
good.
yo.
Old Dylan over there. How you doing? And look, let's do it. Hey,
Hey, ciao.
hey. Good times. So we're here. We're doing the thing, and Travis has joined us. Yay!
Hey.
Good times. Thanks for joining us again. Right, so tonight we are going to be doing the usual. Tonight, what are we talking about?
Crap, no.
Firstly, we'll be doing the little preview of the lovely preview that happened this weekend, and we'll be talking about terrain and how it affects you. You
What you
specifically.
can do to
Yes.
prevent forest fires. I mean, terrain.
Yes, what you can do to prevent terrain in 40k. I like that. So yes, as you can see in the bottom camera over there, we have a picture of some of the terrain we've got that we use, we do things with and all that. But before we do that, we're actually going to go and show from last week. We had a whole lot of people discussing, well no, we discussed conversions.
Yeah, we did.
And yeah,
Yeah, we did.
so this week we'll be going through a bunch of conversions and showing you what some of our community has done on the conversion side.
I'm very excited because I haven't seen these yet.
Yeah. So, first of all, let's go on to here. So this is by our one and only Andrea.
Ah.
It's a little Harlequin
Such
that
a
he
nice-
did.
A troop
he's a
master. A troop master, actually. Not just any Harlequin.
Really?
Because they don't have HQs. They don't have
That's
troop
okay.
master as HQs.
Oh.
There's
So
no
what
model
is-
for that.
Is that?
So what have I done here is the face. Darren, actually, you should recognize that face.
That's the Sister of Swords.
There we go.
Like that.
There we go. The little spirit. So all my Harlequins have spirits around them because I just like the idea of like spirits of the warp, but like nice ones being around them in the web.
And where's that from?
It's from the Sylvaneth Tree Lord
Yeah.
kit.
Okay.
And then the ponytail. Let's see.
That's the coolest. I love where the ponytail's from. A corn dude.
The dude with
Guys,
the banner.
spine.
The dude with the
The
banner.
spine ponytail coming
Yep.
off the back of
I
his
saw
head.
that and I was like, oh, it's a Calexis, is that? Not a Calexis? What's the dancing
Yeah.
lady?
The
Calidus.
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 Yeah.
I was like, oh, Calidus, because I can't
It's
really see
inspired
very
from
the-
that.
Yeah.
You are actually
the
very
Calidus is
correct.
very-
It's inspired from
This
that
little
model.
conversion is also very interesting. Also done by the same guy. Obviously
know-
inspired by it.
Yep, Pennywise.
Really?
So
I've
the
never seen
idea,
that.
the idea is Death Jester. It's a clown that inspires fear.
That's
So
pretty cool.
boom, right there. And also the gun is a relic gun because you have the option to upgrade one of the guns into that basically. So it felt.
Is he
right.
Why'd you give him an owl?
Yeah. Again, spirits.
Oh.
The owl has 3 eyes. You don't see it here, but the owl actually has 3 eyes.
Wouldn't the more appropriate spirit for him have been
In
a
red
balloon?
balloon.
You joke, but I made a Harlequin version of that
Yeah?
with the red balloon as a skull floating.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
Then we got him, obviously, again,
front face
weirdo.
just because. Yeah.
And this is something our own Brad has been busy with. What is this, Brad?
It's my Hurricanum. So he's a
With Eldar for scale.
elf
Not coloured.
and a wizard at the top and my desktop for scale.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's got it's like the base is the Skaven Screaming Bell, and then some terrain bits as well as mostly terrain bits chucked in.
Tell us why you have gone with this style.
Yeah. But I like that barrel on the back. It's like, here's some fuel.
There's a barrel, and I've shifted the parts to be a bit further back, and I've added a ladder since.
Yeah.
So hopefully glue that together and then start painting. So it's Hurricanum is meant, or the actual GW model has what's the globe? It's like a
Planets?
Globe, the
It's
planetary.
one of those
type
kind of astrolabe things.
Yeah, so there's the planets rotating around, and it's meant to summon asteroids and shoot lightning. And I'm currently building everyone's from Grey Order Fastness. So what's
The theme of the army.
the theme of the army is like it's in the realm of life. They've built a city and they chop down all the trees and they fog up the place with smoke and smog. And so then the Sylvaneth don't like them, and then it's just it's like a
Steampunk almost.
steampunk, but also
Industrial.
revolution
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, okay.
So then I
So
was
that's
like,
why it's all got like a slight bit of mechanicus feel to it, but still keeps that fantasy kind of.
yeah, so I'm gonna
vibe.
add some chains and pipes and stuff as well.
Yes.
Once I've glued it together. And then
You know what you need there? A cat. A little cat. Because every factory's got a cat running around there. And also probably a mouse. But then the mouse and the cat need to like sit next to each other.
I have a mouse
There we go.
because the Skaven box.
Oh,
comes
yeah.
Oh, that's
with a
pretty
bunch
cool.
of them.
That's pretty cool.
Um,
Hey, we got more people joined. Good day, Jinx Kitty. How you doing? Jason, he asked, Andrea, where is that Death Guard poster?
Yeah, we need a frame for that. So once I find a nice frame, I will put it on. It's actually it's too good to just be.
on a wall, yeah.
makes sense.
The press stick messes it up.
Yeah.
Let's hit next conversion over here. Oh, this is mine. This is
Yes.
my old thing from ages ago. What was it? 2 years ago, last edition.
When it was playable, basically.
You can still make a Chain Lord, it just doesn't do the things.
It
This
doesn't
was
kill
my
a
version
knight
of the
and
Chain
all.
Lord. Yeah, he was fun. Used to pump out, 18 to 36 mortal wounds in one turn.
Something silly.
He was glorious. But now, take notes of this model. Take note of the torso over there. Take note of this. This is probably one of the coolest marine torsos ever, made based on the Blood Angels Chaplain.
Oh yeah.
A cute, lovely kit. Really kit. Made up of lots of different bits and pieces, chaosified from the possessed guys. And yeah, that was him. He was a lot of fun, quick and easy to build, and easy to paint. This is why I say take notes, because this here is by our very own Corn Patch on the chat there. He used the same, but look at his level. He's gone and added raptor pieces and everything to it to make an Emperor's Children Slaneshi Lord. He has confirmed though that his current ones are much better. So yeah, I need to see more of those, but definitely.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
Very nice.
And this is our very own Gavin.
cool.
This thing is
yes.
completely scratch built. There is not a single piece here which is supposed to be with the other.
So there's like
This is not from a kid.
there's some wheels from a truck or something. There's the engines.
Yeah.
Random pieces of side. There's plastic card. You can see the inside. Do we have any like in progress pictures?
Oh man, he should have sent them. But like the best part about this model, when it was when he was building it, was he was fighting about. He was wondering about what engine he should have. Should he use a V8 engine? Should he have the front? He messed up the springs. He was like, "Isn't this how springs work in suspension?"
Oh yeah, I
the,
remember
the craziest stuff with this. This is probably one of the coolest
And he
conversions ever.
runs
Look at the barrel.
And this is run as a mega
Orc truck. Just a good old orc truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's so cool. Yeah, he put a lot of effort into that thing. It looks awesome. So yeah, that's some of the community conversions we got there. If you guys have anything else you guys want to show us, we definitely would love to see it. I mean, we are huge fans of conversions. Massive fans, which we can't turn fans on right now. So if we start sweating, we would love a massive silent fan. So join our Patreon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Patreon, so that we can buy an aircon and we are not sweaty monsters.
Exactly. And it's true. Yep, there we go. Hugs for Slanesh, nice.
Some of those were like...
Travis, we said, send us stuff. Should have sent a pic of his Ravenwing Librarian conversion. Brilliant.
Yeah. They're all painted and like a lot of effort's been put into them. So
And that's it. Now Gavin's just confirmed he decided to go for an aircraft radial engine for this thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
The scary thing is that he had options.
Wow.
Let's take an engine from this, one engine from that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, it's brilliant. Okay,
Very cool.
so I guess we want to go on to the next section. Let's go on to discuss the terrain. No, not the terrain. The preview from the last weekend. Sorry, let's do that. Let me do
all
that
the
quickly.
glory that was showed to us.
Yay. Nothing happened. There we go. I'm pressing a button again. Look. There we go. Us. And there. Terrain.
Still us.
Not We're gonna get this right.
Previews. Okay, last weekend we saw some previews, right? Didn't we see some previews? Did we
Yes,
see?
We saw
did.
some cool previews. Overall, once again GW did a double take, shimmy, zigged when it's zagged and all that stuff.
Oof.
So we didn't get kind of what we were expecting, or what I was expecting at least.
Everyone got super trolled by
So,
one picture.
you're gonna look at all these vampires. Nope, not those vampires. We know they're there, but we're not gonna tell you about them yet. Come on. So
I mean, we saw another Soulblight hero.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
yes.
Well, okay, so this is going to be a bit of time. What we've done over here is we put together some slides just to show some of the images, everything. We're not going to concentrate on them too much. If you want to see them properly, go out to the Warhammer community. There's a big freaking banner there. If you miss it, there's something wrong with you. And it's some of the models are fantastic. We're going to all look at them together now and geek out because we can. And because, oh my gosh.
I think the biggest thing as well with not seeing too many vampires is that it means we can assume that the range is going to be quite big and it deserves its own standing.
Oh yeah.
That's what I take from this because
That's
I
true.
am with you.
Also,
sideboard with,
definitely we'll see with some of the models now that are coming and we know are part of the Soulblight army.
Oh yeah.
That means that what some people have said, this is not going to be a pure vampire army, and that's kind of cool because this then hark back to probably one of the only armies from the old Sigmar or old fantasy that'll stay the same.
I don't think
very
so.
similar, but
I think we're still gonna get new skeletons and new zombies.
I can see. I can see this being instead of reprinting in a gash book.
This is a new
This
thing.
is it's Soulblight, and here's all the same sort of units.
That's why the keyword is now Soulblight Gravelords, and there is the Curse of the Soulblight.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Just check it out. What's it? So you bought the engine from bits, right? But the engine used Baneblade wheels. You use wheels from a Baneblade to make the engine.
That's interesting.
That is cool.
So if you built a diorama of a Baneblade that's broken down on the side of the road with wheels missing, or on bricks, a Baneblade on bricks.
Instead of making the mech workshop, the terrain, just take a Baneblade apart and leave it in bits and pieces all over the place. That's your mech workshop.
That's just a flex.
That's
just
so
like
cool.
that.
Yeah, it's we don't need a Baneblade. We just Yes. So anyway, let's get on to the stuff in the preview. What we saw this last weekend. Right. First of all, Illuminate came up with a whole bunch of stuff. These Blade Lords were some of the highlights.
Not Swordmaster.
Oof. Yes. We had the new Bolt Thrower, which some people noted looked like the guy was eating the arrow. He spits it out.
What?
His face is right in that arrow. Probably the coolest looking terrain.
No, we've seen in a while. That's just going to be in armies. That it's just going to be a great piece to add to any table.
Yep.
The new twins.
Totally agreed.
The twins, like they saw some.
I wonder if this is a nod to the Wood Elves twins on the dragon.
Yep.
Probably. Then we have
the new Swordmaster of Hoth, the Lawmaster of
Lawmaster,
Hoth.
yeah.
New version of that. Dude who can write with paper in the air and
He
carries his own
takes-
lamps.
Takes the essence of the realm and puts it on the paper to give him power or something.
The new
He doesn't move. He makes
leader,
the paper move around.
guy riding llama man.
New llama, yeah.
Ooh,
We
the
see
crazy wind
this is the
spirits.
normal version of it instead of the special character version.
Oh, that other one, yeah. This wind spirit thing is awesome. And obviously we saw a new codex, a new battle tome coming out for them.
Which I don't know, had they
Well-
told us that it's going to be, you can get the Techless book and the other book. Then
Yeah.
this is badass with the new Nightaunt model.
Definitely
Which
a
means,
new
like,
codex,
hey,
battle
new
tome
codex
coming out.
coming.
Or
It's gonna be
update
great.
of some sort coming soon.
This guy.
Hero landing, yay. And
This Soul Blight
the
dude.
Soul Blight dude, yeah.
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 He's a soul blight hero.
The White King, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The White King on horse. You know that the previous cult is like super old
Mm.
of this.
And then
We
the
also had the badass drop, the
head-
Mad Mob.
what's it? Head.
Head
Kraken.
Kraken, Mad Mob, yeah.
Dragon's Mad Mob.
That's just so good for a shaman that's now not in to get a plastic shaman.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, sorry we went through that one a little bit quickly. Let's probably go through it again so we can talk about it. But also, what's interesting about that is the Illuminate battle tome. So, I've been one of the people complaining about it.
It's like
About
12
how
months later you get a
it
battle tome,
seems-
like, oh goodness.
Well, look, I was complaining about the fact that it seems very strong. Okay, and I was like, yay, let's get a new battle tome so they can kind of get toned down. But that's not happening because they themselves said on the Warhammer community website that your options are either buy the Broken Realms Techless book and use your old battle tome as well with that, or don't buy either of those books, buy the new one only. Rules aren't changing, rules are being added. That is cool.
It's like, wonder
That's scary.
If they'll add a little like this, like searing white light is a 10-inch range instead of a 14, or can't be used through portals like that.
I guess there's an
They could
FAQ
add-
that
But no,
might apply.
I think what happens is the main rules of the army don't change, so it's not like a new soul blight change complete. But they might adjust with Techless,
No matter
Broken
like,
Realm,
use
the
this
things that are a bit like
instead of
off.
the old
Exactly.
one or something.
Mm.
Which
Or you buy the new one and you just everything updated. The book is the same pretty much. It does the same. The mechanics are the same. The allegiance abilities are the same. Those things that are
changed just a little bit. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I doubt. I think it's more leaning towards here's the new models, and you take your old one and you add it to the new one, and then it's done.
Yep.
It's like I probably don't see any changes big. Like what are we hoping? Kind of. We haven't played much against them. We just
Yeah, we'll
seen the internet's response, but
Trying to organise a game against Matthew soon, so that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
that's exciting to be like getting new stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look there. Baneblade's getting converted over to the Orcs. Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. Yes, the main blades are turning into Orc vehicles. Fun.
But they need wheels on the Orc Bane blades.
No, they don't. Apparently.
just
they just believe.
There we
Hobbits,
go.
it's a new-
Because you believe. Anyway, so now we're going to the next
Green
one that
Lantern.
we're talking about. Basically, the next two pieces are talking about the new Warhammer Adventures. What
Warhammer Quest.
Which
Oh.
is, if you have been under a rock and you don't know, it's the Cursed City stuff, which is badass. We're going to go through now a reel of all the heroes from here who are just,
Very exciting.
they just,
Yeah,
They're
that's
just
super
like-
awesome.
ooh, the ogre dude. He is so cool.
And one of the things they've got a War Scroll book in the box because they've shown everything that's coming out.
Yep.
Oh yes.
We've got
The first sign of any form of Sigmar militant order.
Yeah, there's a lady from QI. There's the Witch
The Witch Hunter.
Also, some of like, I think the next one. Who's
The
that?
dwarf
Carrion
guy's called the
Dragon.
Caradron with the with the scorpion.
Yeah,
That's
get over
cool.
here
Yeah.
and wield it.
This is cool also. There's a lot of implications in these models, and this is definitely one of them. It's like the implication of the Kurnoth and their lore. This guy's awesome.
He's like his brother's in the Blackstone Fortress, so it's like
Yes.
that guy's badass. Like another wizard from Stormcast, or not Stormcast, Free Peoples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they could add like a whole
Wasn't
change
there
to
the
the
purple?
And then there's
Amethyst wizards. They were the necro
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, then there's
They used to be death wizards.
dudes. Yeah.
yeah.
And then we're back to the crazy.
So he's a cool,
Awesome
like
ogre.
a great nod to man-eaters of the old.
Yeah.
So if you, yeah, it'd be great. Like he has a scroll that adds into ogre armies. And you go, cool, great new edition guy. Free peoples, bunch
Yeah.
of new people, or any order army really.
Even these guys, like him, he would just be fun running around. Oh look, smacking people across the head with his hammer. Love those leg plates. The Caradron dude's very cool as well. Yeah, all a very nice bunch of models that actually, and so it's pretty exciting to see new stuff coming out from them.
With the wood elf check,
Yeah,
like if that leans towards, oh cool, we got some actual wood elves in the future. That design, they're like
Not
cool.
Sylvanet, but
Not
Wanderers.
Sylvanas tree people, but we actually get a bit more of the Underworld's team, like the bit of fey creatures with the funny legs. You get some elven human-y type people, or not elven humans, but like,
Actually, possible.
but yeah, so normal people with feet and not hooves.
yes, and the question of whether the antlers are coming out of her head or if she's wearing them.
Yeah, whether
Yes.
she's wannabe Bambi or whether she's.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Then we get to the part that I really enjoyed, which was all the villains.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
These guys,
As we usually do.
rat swarms.
So if you're a Skaven player,
No way.
or now there's
Orc dudes.
Was they ogres?
Oh, they
They're ogre zombies.
Undead.
zombie ogres.
And then there's the skeleton version,
Oh, the skeletons.
which now we're taking. They like the test of what Underworld does. It allows them to like dabble into what armies look good. And now these are like Sepulchral Guard or whatever.
Yeah, Sepulchral Guard.
Tungard.
From
The
Underworld
Sepulchral
team.
Guard from the Underworld's team, yeah.
So
Oh, I've
so
seen
they
it.
Yeah.
the same look, and then they brought it across. So they've continued. Oh, they did well.
Yeah.
And, like the armies, like people were very like good, liked it.
Good responses.
The
Yeah.
Yes.
zombies, they bring their own graves with
The
them.
zombies are so good.
I mean,
I'm
I don't think they
sorry.
have a choice. The big stick through them.
Yeah, true. All of them have been staked to the grave.
And also, like, I think there's like 20.
Aren't those roots?
There's
Well,
some
there's roots, but
there's
most of
also
them have a
stick.
spike going through them.
Oh.
The big baddie, this guy's the vampire who wears 2 wolf heads on his shoulders.
But yeah,
No, he is a vampire.
did they call him a vampire? I don't know yet.
He is a vampire. Read the lore, it's awesome. Crazy necromantic dude with a kitty cat and birds.
Of course.
Yeah.
South can approve
like
of
The
that.
captain of the watch.
Yeah, I can see the zombies being. They very much like push fit. There's a couple. There's only so many poses.
Yeah.
The Volg.
Oh, no,
like,
definitely.
Volg's
The Volgulf. It's gonna be cool.
or something. But yeah, definitely like, ooh, what the future for zombies will look like. And then I got a cool little
Creepy pyramid head dude.
creepy pyramid head guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
Still one
weird
of the
new
best
vampires
The
with their
baby vampires.
strange feet.
The vampire spawn.
Is
So they're very
that
cool.
them?
Their eyes are like
That's
kind
cool.
of sunk in. They're very tall models.
I said it on the day, and I'm gonna say it again. I think that's gonna be battle lines for if you go just
Yeah.
vampires with your army. Because
I-
let's face it, Soul Blight is gonna be a mix, but you'll
Yeah.
be able to go just Death Rattle and just vampires. They're gonna be
The
your
new
battle
bat
line.
swarms to go with those rat swarms at the
Yeah.
beginning, like
Yeah.
giant bats / bat swarms. Like that's a great little if you want to run those in the current Nighthawk, not Nighthawk, current
Legions of
Legion of
Lagash.
the Gash. The models were very old. Those giant bats, even if they're still
Yeah, they
available.
look terrible. They
What
really do.
What I really like about them is the fact that they brought bat swarms back. Swarms as a base. There's no swarm model in Sigmar now. There's no new swarm models at all.
Nurglings?
No, that's an old model.
Oh,
There's
old
no
model,
new
okay.
introduction
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a swarm. Nurglings are a demon, so they're like me. They're things. They should be a part of it, you know?
Oh,
They're a base piece. Like, The swarms were always an interesting kind of addition I found to old fantasy, where you had someone herding a bunch of swarms across the field.
It's like a simple unit that's just
Yeah.
so many models that it counts as.
What I like about the skeletons specifically is they have the champions, the Vanabero, and okay, I didn't see a musician with them.
No hornblowers.
No, or hornblowers or
Right,
anything.
there was.
No, there is a hornblower, yeah. There is one. Because people are like, why again are skeletons trying to blow without lungs? So
I can
it's
testify
brilliant
it's not
because
possible.
that is actually really nice. I hope in the box they're on their own separate sprue by themselves. Because if they are, and if the zombies are, that is completely telling what is in the Soul Blood army.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then the new skeleton.
He's so cool with that
Oh.
massive pole arm. He's
So
such
there's
a
just
nice
so many,
character.
and,
Yep.
yeah, there's just so many nice models. If
Yeah.
you play Flesh Eater Courts, this guy just replaces the old Finecast. Or he doesn't, but like you could use him to replace your old Finecast Vargarth.
Oh yeah.
What's it? The Bat.
Vargulf.
What they call it? Bat something. Smash Bat.
Smash Bash.
It's
It is a
vroom,
smash bat.
and it just zooms in and just implodes something.
Yeah. What I found also interesting is if that dude with the spade, the guy who pulls the corpses out the ground so that they can be used and revived and all that, him, what if he's a unit type and he's just a special character version of it?
That'd be cool.
You know, having a bunch of weird guys who dig up graves to go and
Kind of like the sneaky
Provide.
stuffers.
yes, like that.
Hmm.
But also like when we saw the original Kyric Acolytes, when they first appeared in the Silver Tower box,
There are
Yeah,
like two
and
of them.
all of
or
a
something,
sudden-
right?
there was a whole bunch of them.
Hmm.
You know, I
Because that's
that-
the thing, yeah. Every book, it's like in the original Silver Tower, I don't know, there was like the goblins with multiple legs. We just haven't seen
Spider
that.
goblins.
Scuttlings.
The
Yeah.
Scuttlings. We've seen the carrot acolyte come out
Mm.
a couple months or years later. The funny priest,
The Gorn Summoner as
the
well.
Gorn Summoner was originally.
Gorn Summoner was first in there, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
So now a Gorn Summoner, like, look how much that's become
In
a
fact,
staple of the lore.
The
and
Gun
everything.
Summoner, not on disc, was only available through that for a while.
Exactly. Now take that Gorn Summoner and I mean those are staples of the lore of the armies for most Chaos, Zinj and Slaves of Darkness army. And they become a big part of it. So what if that still counts for this?
I think definitely because like I don't know how much Blackstone Fortress tested things, but like I mean we also
It
hasn't been long enough to really.
I think
to
Blackstone
see-
Fortress was the most disappointing of them because
I
almost
think-
nothing has come out of it.
But the
Yet.
game wise has been great, but yeah, it also hasn't been a long enough time I think.
Mm.
But this is a great show of they can test models in a non like we don't have to go any further with these models. We can be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, there was a lot of there's a rattling or whatever. Like, okay, we're not enough interest or shown or
Yeah,
like they
yeah.
look on the internet, they see people like gauge interest and stuff. I assume. But yeah, so that's a very cool box. I assume it's going to do really well. Like,
Oh yeah.
Another question on that box as well. It's probably going to be very low release because of COVID and because of production and all that stuff.
yeah,
But
I think
I
it's
think it'll
going
be
to
better later. But another question on that is, it was very interesting how with Silver Tower when that came out, they released all those heroes. They never did expansions. What they did was those hero boxes, which is basically
Mm.
nice discount boxes to get multiple heroes from different races. They never really did expansions. They
They
did
did
do
one.
the next one, which was another big box.
Oh yeah,
You
so
could
the
still
Silver
use those
Tower,
heroes.
Silver-
They used heroes that existed.
Hammerall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hammerhall.
That was
Wasn't that expansion? Wasn't that like the expansion?
It was kind of an expansion, but it was also you could play it by itself.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
So it had all new stuff in there. You could use all the old stuff from the last box. Plus, it gave you. I don't know if it gave you new heroes.
I don't think so.
even
I
new
don't think it
monsters
did.
probably.
There was because all the stuff in there, all the monsters
It
in
was
there,
Nurgle based
was
because you had the
Black Kings,
yeah.
which were a kit that already existed, and they weren't changed in any way, and like one or two other things as well. So it wasn't
yeah, but
that
then-
much.
The Blackstone Fortress came out and it's had like 3 or 4 expansions, like
5, 6,
5, 6, like little
plenty.
the little squads of guys. smaller box, and it's been like it's almost a year, 2 years worth of. I think last year we can't count it all. So
Yeah.
it's been probably 3 years by the crow flies.
Yeah.
Because last year just was a very big wiggle on everyone's like plans.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's gonna be great. Like there's gonna be a couple. I love the theme. If you're a fan of Mordheim, that's like straight down that alley of like, ooh, sick. This it's gonna be nice.
I just wonder what with this, what kind of expansions would they do there? If they're gonna go and have new model boxes as expansions, that's gonna be interesting.
Because they're doing
What
a lot of
those models
revealing
would
the
be.
city and the way parts like there's the scabbed river thing and like the entangling grave sites and whatever. So there's some very cool. Maybe it's another like a separate the outhouse or the city nearby, like a separate little small town next door, or they can like the go underneath into the dungeons or something even more.
Probably gonna happen.
Yeah. Ooh, into the crypts when the soul blood come out.
Definitely.
But also
That'll be fun, yeah.
those the vampires spawn remind me a lot of the Warcraft Snake Warband, and those warbands how much momentum and movement they have. Definitely could fit into like a unit of 5-10 guys, like running forward. They're
that'll be very cool.
leaping over things. Like they're
I
very
could
tall.
also see a unit of 5 of them and having them as like a more elite unit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I don't see them as being a 30-man squad. I see them maybe being a 10-man as the big squad.
Yeah.
But when you go like, cool, you choose blood knights for 5 blood knights or 10 blood knights, and you're like, oh, that's a lot of points. You're like,
It's a lot of money as well.
I mean, currently, yeah. But yeah, that's like, I think it's very exciting. I have no idea when do you expect it to come out?
I think April, May.
Yep, I agree.
I think end of March, April. Now, I definitely think so. If they've revealed that much already,
yeah, it can't be more than a month.
yeah,
Like, end of March. Yeah.
definitely soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we just got the kill team box that was announced in like November, right?
Yeah.
When was the big? It was a big like end of last year. We got the last leaks that got us the Necron kill team.
That's very true. It was
That-
very much end of last
told-
year.
they
We've
told-
only had one more.
So it was 3 months. So it could be 3 or 4 months away.
Yeah.
But yeah, still exciting and gives us some time to prep, save up our money for it.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
exactly.
GW goes, ha ha ha, next week.
Oof. But the thing is, we are very much sure that there is no more Sigma for the next
Why?
2-3 weeks because of the kill team stuff coming up and because the messages
I
have
believe
been sent
Dark
out.
Elder is probably the next
I can
release
see that coming
announcement.
soon. Yes, I think
Um,
March is month of 40k.
I mean, it's necessary. Come
Yeah,
on,
it's
now
fine. That's cool. There's
That's
some really
good.
nice stuff. I hope it like, yeah, we get. I can imagine it being March being the kill team box, then it's Dark Elder, then March, April being maybe like the Night Haunt and no, I don't think the Night Haunt's so quick. I think it's probably the next month,
Night's one's I think are gonna be mid-year.
May, June, yeah.
Yeah, just after the next Broken Realms book. There we
Yeah,
are.
so I think that's gonna be April. It's gonna be
Yeah.
the Broken Realms.
We'll be talking about the third Broken Realms book. Well, we won't really be talking about it, but we'll show something, which is definitely going to show it at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So, right, going on to there. Just want to talk quickly. Travis has actually mentioned something important there. How's everyone's painting challenge going? We've got 2 weeks left, guys. 2 weeks. I've got to do my Terminators. He's already finished his. I'm still busy with my Terminators. We're giving them the basic kind of coats and that. I will be doing some highlights and things. But highlighting black is interesting.
It's always super fun.
Most importantly, though, Brad,
Thanks,
how's your painting challenge going?
I'm gonna have this guy done before then. It's fine. Bye. I'm
Nice.
like, I got giants and I haven't opened the boxes. Finish this guy one project at a time. That's what I'm like. Get this project done, built, and then I'll paint it. And then once it's painted, which shouldn't take too long, to sub-assembly my own model. Like,
Oh, I hate sub assemblies.
I
hate
love
sub-assemblies.
them. I love them.
I hate
No,
them.
it's fine when it's like a GW model
Uh-uh.
and you know where to put it and you can just like look at the book. Now I'm just like, where should I not put these things?
I've just gone and sub-assembled the flippin' blood cauldron and finished now. And the idea that I'm super gluing the sisters onto the side just bugs me.
Super, I
bugs
think
me.
that's fine. It's actually like, I don't mind that. You can also put blue tack if you want to, or like American blue tack.
American
Press
blue
stick.
tack.
Put press stick on the spots before you
Pray
spray.
tell, what is blue tack in South Africa?
This thing.
What is that? Ah,
Liquid
masking fluid.
masking fluid.
Very nice stuff.
Ah.
that.
This is super cool, and I've been using it.
Do you put it back in the bottle?
Whereas-
That's the one you sent me. Okay.
There is only one downside to this. It stinks like hell. It's terrible.
So that's normal for you.
But exactly. But it's actually really handy because you just like I did Arken's base, well, Dorger's base there, and where he's glued, I just put this on top, then sprayed it the thing right, peeled it off, done.
And like that glue you've got that you
Oh yeah, the masking putty.
masking putty stuff.
That could work too. That could
Yeah,
help
but
a lot
that's-
in the
This one.
sub-assemblies.
So it's like a little.
It's literally
Like gooey stuff. And just kind of like
actually
you take it out and it does a
this thing. It can be pulled out.
and you just kind of stick it over something like press stick, like you would do press stick, and then it
Like
kind of just
that.
protects the.
It's not sticky. I mean, it is to my fingers, but it stays there. But when you
That
pull it,
stuff's amazing.
poof, and it doesn't leave any
Do you
residue.
paint- Do you paint?
You paint over it.
Does it just absorb it, or
A little bit it does, but like a tiny little bit.
does it
It's
like
normal.
just crack out? Does
It
crack
cracks
off?
out, then you have to let it dry. Well, dry. You let the paint dry, basically.
Mhm.
This thing does not dry. Doesn't matter what you do, this thing does not dry. And then you just like make it into a ball again and put it in here, and it's
And
done.
it settles.
But this, they do different functions with the liquid mask. Liquid mask is when you're airbrushing areas on the same model. This is if you have to cover something like bigger, I think.
Okay.
That's how I use it at least. Liquid masking something massive is a bit too much. Yeah, exactly. That's like no.
Also, it gets a bit scary when you're doing liquid masking on stuff that's like a little bit too big because then you don't know if it's actually going to pull paint off as well.
No, the liquid mask doesn't. Like I tried that on a model because I wanted to taste it first. It doesn't at all. So that's
That's
a
cool.
good thing. Yeah.
Sweet.
I was pooing myself. I thought that maybe I'd stuck this. This is the piece over here that was supposed to be in after I stuck the side of the head on. But thankfully I got it working.
I
Yes.
hate when that happens.
So, right, going on to the main section of our show this evening, we'll be talking about the Warhammer 40k terrain. It's not the same as last time. Last time we were talking about faction terrain. This week we will be talking about basic, normal terrain
Gaming
of
terrain.
Warhammer 40k and how it affects you,
Yeah.
the individual, the Warhammer player.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, we have in front of us here a example of terrain.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like a room.
This
I
is
know
something
exactly.
that we put together for our games when we get to actually do some more battle reports and stuff. It's part of a sandy, deserty kind of table. We are still working on it. We have a bunch of ruins. We have to say something. Actual buildings as keywords and as battlefield roles do not exist as type of terrains. You have buildings that factions can take, but they fall under
The actual factions.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Like fortifications and stuff. Are
Exactly.
they still like
And you
they're still
can't-
around, aren't they?
get into them as far as I remember from the rule.
There's rules for fortifications like the old bunkers and towers and stuff like that, but generally no one uses
The
it.
Fortress of Redemption
Yeah,
and all
that's-
those things.
It
Actually,
doesn't work
I
as
don't
it.
remember. Is that in the core rulebook?
I think
I don't think it's in the core
What
rule.
about the Wall of Martyrs?
I think Wall of Martyrs has terrain rules specific.
Point is, buildings as buildings, so you cannot build a terrain and go, this is a building, and you can get into it. No, there is no such a thing. You can't blow up the terrains as you were
Yeah.
able to in 7th edition and stuff like that.
Whereas
So-
buildings, you can, because buildings are faction based.
Well,
Therefore,
yes.
they count as an enemy
Yes.
model,
Exactly.
like the Space Marine bunker.
They are
and stuff
not. They
like
are not vanilla terrains. They are not gaming terrains. They are faction ones. So we are talking about what most of the times are ruins, because that's the most common thing to find. Sometimes you have some different terrains. I mean, you can have forests, woods, whatever. You can have industrial, call it whatever you want, but something that resemble a building, but you cannot get into.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's not a closed off building, literally. So these terrains have clearly interactions with the armies, because that's the main thing. Actually, that's what has changed mainly from 8th to 9th edition, is how you interact with the terrains, right?
Because in the previous edition, it was very much +1 save if you were in it.
That's
Yeah, and that was it. There was nothing
No.
else.
ITC introduced the base level of ruins are no see-through.
Even if you can see the model, the windows, they like you can't shoot through
Yep.
the bottom floor
Yep.
to give it a bit more line of sight blocking. Because we've got some terrain where it's just windows for days, and you're just like,
Oh, I can see the tip of your gun through that window, so I can shoot you. It's like, really though? Okay.
Yeah.
you have to hide there.
So this concept got translated into 9th edition, am I right?
Yeah.
It's slightly different. It doesn't work as just the bottom floor. Bradley came up with the name of magic boxes. I actually like it a lot.
The
I know,
magic
but
box
this is
was
on the
actually an
internet, yeah,
old,
it's like a-
Well, for
Yeah,
me, you
for
came
you,
up with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
is what the LVO used to use, wasn't
LVO
it?
is like a magic
Yeah.
box would just be like this is a magic box, and then it goes into infinity. So like you cannot see past it.
exactly. So
And
that's the
then-
concept
So,
of
like, for
how.
example, you would have two pieces of those two
Mm.
pieces of terrain there, forming two corners, and their corners would then count as a magic box.
And
On that.
it's just
I
like,
am on this because exactly what you just said.
Yes.
This is the most important thing when you guys put up terrains on
Yeah.
tables. Agree with your opponent, because Darren said this, and I go, no, let's talk about it. I don't like that because, and we discuss it. Or I go, actually, yes, that's perfect, great. But the most important thing is, guys, agree on how you treat the terrains.
Yeah,
that's the base.
the reason we kind of like came up with like want to chat about this is because the
So confusing.
it was so confusing. Like my brain didn't want to learn.
Every
New 40K.
time we sit and put a table together, every time we try and play, you're like,
How does terrain work?
what does this terrain do
It's like,
again?
what is light? What is heavy? What is dense? What is obscuring? What is like blah blah blah. blah.
I now got it right. So I'm like,
Yes. So like we've gone to like we take this podcast and stream and whatever as an opportunity for us to improve ourselves in a way that we
Yeah.
force ourselves to have a deadline to learn the game better and not just be
Exactly.
like, oh okay, like last week, whatever the conversions and weeks before.
I'm gonna grab a
Can't
pen.
say.
Sorry.
Yes. So like with this, we did a lot of research, and who was one of the best resources we found?
So yeah, there's a website called Goonhammer. So they have a great article.
There's gonna be a link on
Yeah,
the
put it on
G
there.
O O N
hammer. Yeah.
and they do lots of like deep dives into Math Hammer, into like the fundamentals of the game, and also like looking at the rules, looking at FAQs. So they've got a really nice articles about like
They're proper nerds in Warhammer. They're like
they
that's-
even. I'm pretty sure they've written, the guys who worked on it wrote the Meta Watch on
Oh, yes,
on the
yes,
community
yes,
site
yes,
a couple of weeks ago. So there's a couple like they really are a wonderful like place to learn like about a faction, about when an army comes out, they do a wonderful write up. They do so. This one was a
the
terrain-
insides of the game.
the insides of the game, yeah, the meat and potatoes.
Nice.
So like they wrote a really good article. So this is kind of a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the little nitty gritty stuff that that's how that works, and that's
Never thought of
that's
that.
a bit odd,
Yeah.
Mm.
and like the external like the fringe cases.
Yes.
They point out a bunch of those, which it was like, wow, okay, actually didn't realize that's a thing that happened because of the terrain. So they helped us learn a bit. So go have a look at them. We're going to show some pictures of theirs, like full props to them for making a bunch of these.
Yep.
But yeah, so kind of setting up your game. We're going to play Warhammer. We've built our armies. you come onto the table before you've decided your secondaries, or before you've chosen and told your opponent. You set up your table. You now, it's like where to put the. It's like kind of the rule of looking at it and being like, oh, that's a cool looking base table. There are a lot of like try and make a bit of a mirror match. So it's the table is cut into 2 quarters or 2 like diagonally, and like they're kind of mirrored. So they're the same, like maybe not identical, but like
giving the same chance to
so
both
you've got
armies.
a big piece of terrain that blocks line of sight on either side, a big like area terrain that allows your men to stand in and protect themselves. Some barricades. Like I like the idea of building like a city grid. So there's firing lanes in both directions. So there's places where it's dangerous. There's also big line of sight blocking. So it makes your movement a bit more tactical and mean more, and it allows you to like see the struggles. And then so it's also so you set up the table. Maybe one player sets it up, and then the other player's like, this like a bit of adjustment to be like a team effort, because you don't want the game. I don't know about everyone else, but you want the games to be close and kind of there's like backwards and forwards conflict. But if you make the tables too one-sided, with one side has all the buildings, one side has just open ground, you're just going to gun down your opponent. It becomes
or where you have the one side has all the dense terrain, and the other side has all the what's the one where you get to set and fire and all that?
Defensible.
Yeah. And the other one has all the defensible terrain. You're going,
and also sometimes like you can go back to the old school days of city fight, and you put a large amount of terrain on the table where there's little corridors and alleyways, but then tanks can't move. So you like maybe let your opponent like decide beforehand whether they're building a tank heavy army.
Yeah, I mean for custom games.
But like you're talking with your opponent.
Exactly.
So and normally the TO will decide tables and how the terrain's set up. They'll pre-assign. So in tournaments you don't really have to worry. But it's more about what are the rules for each piece of terrain? Because there's a couple that are just like you put these keywords onto terrain. So
and each
terrain
gives
that's
you
like
different forms
of
rules.
So protection, and a lot of them make like logical sense. Like you've got before we get onto those, like your actual terrain, like putting a ruin where it has some walls, whether it has a base on the bottom, or whether it's just a barricade like a pipe or a small wall or some tank traps.
Yes.
You have to look at them and just declare, like, chat with your opponent. So we've got some token things.
Yeah.
To talk about?
Oh yeah, we've got that. We'll show it at the end of the show.
Okay, yeah. So we've put together some things to help clarify, put on the table to help
it's
you realize.
It's literally a reference chart, and if each entry on that has a symbol, a token, an icon, so you can just print as many as you want of those icons and then put them on the terrain. So literally, can we go back? Oh, it's still on the main camera, right?
Yeah, it's still on.
Okay, so for example...
Yeah, so we have a building.
So this is a ruin, right?
Yeah.
Is that camera dead?
We might be
I think
behind.
that one's dead.
No, we're good.
It's
Okay.
there.
Yeah, we're just looking at the wrong place.
So
We're behind.
this is a ruin, right? It has light cover because it's a ruin, and ruins most of the time have light cover. So you put the token of boom.
Yeah, so like ruin.
What does light cover do?
Light cover is
Before we get on there,
yes.
So like GW in the main rulebook has given us some cookie cutter defaults.
Yes.
So you have ruins. They have a couple keywords. They have light cover, scalable, breachable,
Defensible?
No. Runes don't have
It'll be
defensible.
barricades.
But then
It will be usually industrial terrains that have dense cover usually have defensible.
so there's a little, and then there's like a forest might have dense. It might have, I don't know, like a bunch of, they have got keywords, and they've got like a barricade or wall has defensible, like obstacle or something. What's
The main difference between terrains is obstacles and
Area terrain.
area terrain.
Yeah,
exactly.
so if it's like a ruin might be an area terrain, and then
Darren, I know I sent you a picture. The pipes. Can we show the pipes?
No problems. Let's move over to the pub.
Thank you.
So like some of these, we've got some of our own terrain that we've got here at home, and
That's an example. Yeah.
an example of so we've got this path, which could be defensible,
There we go. This is an obstacle, right?
obstacle.
Whoops,
Yeah.
sorry. This would probably give you dense cover.
I mean, it's all like anything can give you anything. So
Yes.
you can click here with your opponent, and I think in the rule book they have a set rules. So it's like
Yes.
defensible because you can
You can
This-
set to defend.
run through some quick ones before we get because we've got obstacles are like little things are in the way. They're
Mhm.
obstacles. They allow units within 3 inches to be counted as having the cover rule.
The benefit of cover, yeah.
The
Whichever
co-
applies.
Whatever applies. So they count as being in cover. What that means depends on what's keyword the
You have
terrain
agreed,
has.
yes.
So with obstacles, if a line is drawn across it and it goes to any point of the and it from one point of the model that's shooting to any point on the model that's in the cover within 3 inches, or I think it's then you get to
Have the cover?
have
is
the
it?
cover
Yeah.
rule.
I'm gonna change
I might
slightly.
restart,
It's every part of the model.
every part of the model.
Every
yes.
part of the model.
And the same goes for
Light cover
no,
is the same.
area terrain. Yeah, like lines drawn across
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Dense cover.
It says every part of the model. So if you have a model, for example, let's actually, we have models, why not use them? If there is a model, can we go back to the terrains camera?
We can do that.
Thank you, Darren.
Do. Cool.
Yes, okay. So if you have a model that stands, now we have to do a little bit of moving around. I'm sorry. So this is again, that's the magic box. You can decide with your opponent. Okay, I want a line to be there, or you want a perfect rectangular, like whatever. Let's assume for now that there is a diagonal line there as
From
footprint.
corner to corner. That's
Exactly, just for ease, right?
Throughout the edition.
So
that's
this
kind of
model
been the
is
same.
not inside the footprint of the terrain. It's outside that line. Okay, let's turn this around and it's there. So now, if something was shooting from that side, from on the other side of the wall, and it cannot draw any line to this model without crossing this, well, first of all, there is no line of sight, but even secondary, the moment there is inside, you still have the cover because you cannot draw to every part of the model. But that applies even if that happens that way,
Okay.
right?
Like,
Because it says every part
And is that
of
just-
the model.
Because it's still confusing. So we still I have to reread stuff because my brain's still fuzzy. So like with dense, I know that's definitely reading across the line. It doesn't have to be in the terrain. It doesn't have to have the in cover effect.
Mhm,
It just needs
mhm,
if the line crosses.
But there is okay. We need to add one small thing, which is
Yeah.
obscuring. So if the terrain has the obscuring keyword, then the thing of no line of sight applies. Otherwise, that's the case that we are discussing now, in which it doesn't block the line of sight
there's
so much.
there's
Got
so
an
much
interesting question here.
stuff. Mhm.
What's it? Gavin first of all makes the comments of previous editions didn't require mirrored tables.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it's a
Even
really
this edition doesn't
It doesn't,
require it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's a good.
yeah.
You can make it be like giant city castle and empty desert, and you're like, cool.
It's a custom
Yeah.
game. You
Your
know what you
orcs are
want.
coming at me across, and I've got a gun line. Like you can do that. I'm just saying, as a for a close, more evenly matched game, having a bit of mirrored terrain gives you both the same options. So
Exactly.
when you both have the same options, you can you both have the same deck to work with.
Yeah.
Then the game becomes a bit more like.
And when you are in tournaments environments, that's the one that
you
you're
want to
gonna
see what the
find.
player can do, not what the terrain did.
What's also interesting is because of the way the terrain is, because it's all allocated and keyworded now, it's nice because it may be sitting in your opponent's field, but you get to use it too when you're there.
Oh yeah, of course,
So
absolutely.
it's not really that the guy's just backing it up or sitting on top of a building and hitting you with his devastators from a tall building with all the cover. It's a whole lot of things.
Which could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is possible.
But there's a lot more to it.
Yeah,
Also,
absolutely.
Travis says something interesting. most bizarre thing in the terrain rules is that a ruin wall gives dense cover, but a ruin doesn't.
Yeah, that's because of like obstacle versus area terrain.
Exactly.
So I know if there's in GW saying they have like a model, which I'm sure we've got some somewhere. I don't know if there's a picture of it. Like this is it can have a base or whatever, but then there's also just a bit of ruined wall that GW has, just a wall with not much of a ruin. So it's just like I don't know. So
Give me 1 second, I'll be right back.
yeah, so there's like
So
a wall,
let's go to
like
this.
that one. Oh, and can I see that? So bases models with footprints. So this model into the GW book. If you we're back at the top. Okay.
Yeah,
So this
we're
one,
over there.
it's kind of
It's
it's
just
a
basic
wall, and it's not a ruin. It's just there. So
That's a ruined wall.
a ruined wall, but it's not a ruin. It has the scenery rule. They've given it dense as the default, and
Which is the -1 to hit.
dense is if the line crosses over this model and it touches any point of or any point on the model's base, the model counts as having dense cover, which is -1 to be shot
Mhm.
at.
The other one,
But
the
then
ruin,
ruin with a base has area terrain. So this has more like an obstacle,
obscuring.
and area terrain could have obscuring if it's 4 or 5 inches or taller.
Yeah.
It could
Which
have
this
light,
one doesn't.
light cover, which gives +1 to your save against shooting. It could be heavy cover instead, where it gives +1 to close combat armor against
That's a
close
choice.
combat.
Yes,
Could be
absolutely.
either one. But then you could. I like it's whether the walls have obscuring and the area terrain has
That's,
+1
that's
light.
literally what it is, though.
Is it that?
The walls don't have obscuring, so I can always see you, but there is a -1
I mean,
to
not
hit you.
obscuring.
Like
Yeah, dense. Like the walls can have
Oh.
dense, but the area terrain has light
That's it.
cover.
The wall has dense because I can always see you through a wall. There is no way you can hide this model so that I cannot see you and cannot shoot you. Okay? So you get a -1 to the hit. That's okay. You are behind a ruin. It's obscuring.
So I can't see.
I
you.
can't see you. It's better than a -1 to hit because I can't physically shoot you. That's the difference
That
between
makes lots
an
of sense.
obstacle and an area terrain. So if you decide to go into the area terrain, we give you a +1 to save. I can still shoot you. There is no dense because now you have chosen to get in. You have the option to stay out and not be shot. You go in, you get +1 save.
Would you get like? Okay, just to like you have
I hope that answer your question.
you have a building here. So this has a footprint.
Yes.
If you're standing here and I'm over on the left hand side
Oh, this is such a good question, Brad.
and I'm being shot at,
Yeah.
I'm in the area terrain. I
Yeah.
have light cover. I get +1 save.
Yeah.
If someone's shooting at me from over there and it crosses this object
Yeah.
and it's shooting me, does he get -1 to hit and I
No.
get +1 save?
Because the terrain does not have the -1 to hit. The area
Oh.
terrain does not get the
So-
-1 to
Okay,
hit.
so it's an obstacle. I can get.
Yeah.
If you can be in. Okay.
You can have I can go and fetch it, but like the mechanical terrain, the one with the
I'll show you a
walkway.
picture.
Yeah, I took a picture. Thank you very much. Yes, forgot about that.
Yeah. Nope.
So the way they combo together is
That one,
that one.
That one, for example, would get a dense cover. It's not obscuring. You cannot tell me you can hide a model on that one.
Yeah, but you
No,
can.
it's not
If you
obscuring at all.
shoot through it, and again, that one has a print, right? If you shoot through that one, you can make up whatever you want. There's cables, there's bits and stuff, there is whatever, but that's dense. Okay?
And, yeah.
Well, it's
And
true.
it's-
It's part of the. Yeah.
And it's like saying,
Okay.
it's by going back to talking about, talk with your opponent what kind of makes sense about what terrain. So then you can have like a magma world or a fire world, and there's just like spume,
Whatever you
smokes
want,
in the
yeah.
air, and that could be obscuring.
In
You
fact, they literally say instead of forest, it could be
Just smoke,
Smoke.
coming out, dense cover, and a lot of. So you look at your terrain, and like I think as the guy who's creating the terrain, or when you're building your own build, like you think about what is this like? Is it scalable? Is it breachable?
Yep.
So scalable is your beast swarms
an
and
infantry.
infantry can climb it.
Yes.
Breachable means the same 3 can walk through it, and so like
This is literally vertical, horizontal. Same
vertical,
rule
horizontal,
up.
So sometimes we've got like a section of things that are just was very odd. And Goonhammer points these out, so I'm just like, we're gonna like things that are like, well, this is a bit odd for terrain. So the first one that jumped out or that they pointed out was that if a building is breachable and it has one of those big like silos or one of the GWs, like it's a solid thing, because it has the breachable keyword on that piece of terrain, you can just walk through the wall, which is really feels weird. Odd.
But I think it's because cinematically it has a door.
No, I mean,
That's it.
It's like, but if I imagine it being a silo full of liquid or chemicals. It's not like you're going to be a space marine who walks up, bashes to one side, goes glug, 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 through it, bashes to the other side.
I mean, that's not impossible. This is like space marines, exactly.
But a dude being like, an Imperial Guardman being like, I'm not going to walk around. I'm going to walk through this chemical liquid, like.
No,
and it's like, okay,
I think come out looking like the Joker
so
on the other end.
The way they it's like
actually
scale. If it's something like scalable, allows you to go through the floors of the building and through the wires and girders and stuff. And like if you can physically walk around it, you don't really need to make the terrain just like because the thing with ruins and stuff used to be just like. You ignore them. You're moving troops just straight through.
But then it's like not having
like,
anything.
Why is there even terrain on the table at this point? So, but it's like having terrain that blocks your tanks from moving, and you're mostly infantry just being able to like hide at the bottom behind something, walk through it. That's like it adds a bit of fluff to it. So
it really does.
It's an extra dimension to the game, which is really interesting to me.
Which is, remember, there was the saying before that the third opponent is always the third player on the field is the terrain. Now, I'd say
a very confusing
it's your third teammate.
A very confusing opponent.
Yeah. Which is interesting also if you take this into consideration, the new system that they're trying to push, where people bring their own terrain.
I don't know if they're pushing that. I mean they haven't
really
pushed any
but
terrain events in a long time. But like, the idea is cool. It just helps places that don't have terrain. But
unfortunately, that can be very easily abused. So it's a very dangerous path.
It's just a Sylvaneth player brings his own trees. So
I mean that actually I would have nothing against.
But at the same time, with the trees, I like the idea of applying things like this to. So we're using their basic things. They have their obstacles and their dense terrain, the light terrain, all of that. And applying all of that now to, say, a Katachian jungle. So now you have the trees in that counting as, thick trees in a Sylvaneth wood, you put it down.
Yep.
And that counts as your dense.
Yep.
Okay, having venom gorse things popping out there, and that counts as like barricades and obstacles.
Because it's very...
It's a nice thing to just apply these keywords across each other.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't limit you on what the terrain look like because of these keywords. You can just go like, well, as you said, these weird plants are barricades, and they have these keywords because that's how they work.
Exactly.
So that's very, very, very nice. It opens door to a lot of different scenarios that you can have. You can make it even more narrative because, I mean, there is the tournament aspect and there is the narrative aspect, which is probably more common, let's face it.
Yeah,
I think a lot more fun too.
Yeah,
I think
more casual.
Yeah,
I think that's the word.
Go read the Goonhammer article. Like, there's a bunch. I'm gonna butcher explain this one. But there's 2 points that I was like, wow, that's the way dense works, where it's any point of the model is. The fringe cases of it can feel like that doesn't feel right. Like where a tank with a corner of its ass is in a dense piece of terrain. We have an example of a picture.
Let's go. Which one is
that? It's the last one with the wolf and stuff. I think. I don't know if I sent that.
It's always the wolf. Can't take them anywhere.
Next one, and then more. We can go to the tower. The tower thing. That one also works. This one is obnoxious. So like there, once you see it on the screen, according to how the rules are written, because that tank, you measure to the hull, and its gun is in the dense cover, if you measure to every point of that model, at some point, to measure to the gun or to a corner of the tank, you have to cross the dense cover, then the tank gets dense cover.
Yeah,
so then it feels like, whether you play that way, or just FAQ this to for yourself, apply common sense. I think they like rules is written hardcore. That tank has -1 to be hit because it's got.
Yeah.
And also, that's the thing with dense cover or like lights and stuff. But it's like you benefit from it. Like okay, I think it's dense. Dense tanks can benefit from it, but only units that are light, swarm, or beast are in the cover.
Yeah.
Yes.
And gain the cover keyword. So it doesn't gain the cover keyword, but a line is drawn across dense terrain. Therefore, you have -1 to hit.
Yeah.
So
well, it doesn't work for monsters and models with more than 18 wounds. So if your tank is bigger than that,
no, it's flyers or models with 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis mentions here as well. Not all runes block line of sight. Only ones that are over 5 inches.
Yeah.
yeah, which is
So,
really interesting
that's
because let's say that you
But
have
I mean-
a ruin
Yeah.
and then you have this antenna that comes out of it.
It's you declare it before. So
But
it's like,
obviously, I mean, I'm talking about a
wouldn't-
decent piece that's got a
Like-
an antenna
like
sticking out.
this one
They
is,
shouldn't block
these are both
anything.
more than 5 inches. So but then this whole piece, it's an imagined of that this has got smoke and debris, and it's not just this tall bit that's blocking. It's like there's smoke and stuff.
It's
so
a
physically-
frozen moment.
It's a frozen moment. So
yeah.
like, it might be some part. So that's at least one part of the terrain is 5 inches or 4 inches
Yeah.
tall.
Hmm.
Then what was the other
kind
one?
of going near the end.
Yeah, that was-
this now.
What was that?
The thing that I'm gonna mention, the thing that blew my mind the most is units. That's actually what you told me, and then I read it. It's units charging a
Yes.
unit that is on a
There's a picture
defensible
of this.
obstacle.
Okay, let's go find that one.
That
So,
like was like
Which
whoa.
one's that?
so there's the rule of that one.
This one.
So we've got a barricade or a pipe or whatever, and a unit is behind it. If it's a barricade, you can. It's defensible is the
It
keyword.
is defensible.
Then
yeah. Set
you
to
can-
defend.
Set or even to set to defend and stuff. Is
I mean,
you
that's
can
the rule.
respond,
Yeah.
But if a unit is like right behind a defensible piece of terrain or barricade, whatever, you can end within 1 inch of the wall itself and count as being in combat with the guys who are within 1 inch on the other side. So you gain 2 inches of like attacking ability. So this picture has like a 1 inch of your half an inch of an engagement range or 1 inch engagement range, half an inch to be in combat normally, 2 inches to fight people. So anyone within 2 inches can fight each other, and they pile in. And that's cool. That's how it works. So you don't have to like wobble models around. But then the thing is, if you don't end within an inch, you're not in engagement range anymore. So when you begin your movement phase,
Just walk
there's
away.
no influence on your being in combat. So you can just wander away unless you've ended within an inch of someone. You're not in engagement anymore.
That's something that made me go, wow. That's
Which is rules
Something
might be confusing.
Cornpatches brought here, which is another thing, is you measure guns to draw a line of sight, right? You don't really measure from the gun to draw a line
You
of sight.
measure from the model, yeah.
You measure from the hull.
Or from tanks. The vehicles, you measure actually you measure tanks specifically like
Older
Falcons,
tanks.
older tanks, the ones with no bases. So even some of the new ones. It's like the one Gene Stealer cult does, like some of them had bases,
Primaries
some of
all
them
have a
don't.
base, don't they?
I don't probably
Primaries
because they all got the
tanks all have a
floaty
base.
one. They're all floaty now.
They're all
But
floaty.
They say there's a specific line like in the Falcon it says you measure from the model.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, do you measure ranges from the base of models normally?
I
You
mean,
measure
for normal models, yes, of course.
Yes, right, okay. So it's like, because,
Definitely not from the guns.
the guns, okay, so the thing is because it's like so rare cases where your guy has a gun and is leading
Sticking out
so
so
many
much.
meters from your base, but okay, so you measure from the model, so like some of the smaller tanks, like the Venom, the Viper, they have a funny base, but they also floaty, but they don't have the word that says measure from the model.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with the bikes, with the Custodes bikes.
They measure from the base because they don't have the word.
Unless you use the base that, like, you can use the clear ones and then you measure from the model.
No, you still, like, it doesn't have the keyword, so you measure from that base.
Then, yeah.
According to, like, 'cause there's no rule specifically allowing the other one. But, yeah, so that's a weird thing. Like, I always like measure from the model, but most models are small and you're measuring. But you measure from the base. Like, you're doing the same thing, but my brain was thinking differently. Any other, like, dramatic, like,
I want to show what we've got for everyone for download as well.
yeah, so some of the things, when the game came out, 9th edition dropped, they wrote things for rules lawyers to try and break, or not
Pretty
try and
much.
break. They wrote as a when it models within 3 inches of this, but not within 3 inches of that, and not it's like very if and then if then that then if what, and then you're like reading it is like
What happened
it
to my
makes
brain?
sense, but it's like it requires a lot of like, or at least for me, maybe I'm just dumb, but like
No.
it requires a lot of intense thinking to like follow. Okay, I'm talking about this, then if this happens to that, okay, cool. But then scrap that line, and then if this, then that happens. Okay, no, that didn't happen, so scrap that line, and then this. Okay, cool. Even the combination of light, heavy, dense. Like I still need to go back and read where things duplicate, where things don't. Like area versus obstacle, walls versus. It's like.
Okay.
But anyway, those are. Go
What
through,
we've
read
done.
it. It's like we've hopefully brought some clarification. It
Yeah.
felt a bit rambly, but we'll do some more research, I'm sure. But
What we've done as well is, because sometimes in the game itself you forget exactly what the terrain does,
Yeah.
is Mr. Andre over here worked with a very good friend of ours, a person who's actually responsible for all the art
Cool
on
looking
this
stuff.
podcast and everything, to come up with a really cool little downloadable PDF with some tokens on them and stuff like that. I'll show you now. It's pretty awesome. If you see here, it's actually really cool. So it's just basically a basic summary of the terrain rules and that. Gives you a terrain trait with a little picture of one of our own stylized icons there. Basic rules on everything. Very, very cool art over there.
Scalable,
The interactive traits,
obscuring.
defensible, inspiring, defense line, exposed position, and there we go. There's some tokens for you to cut and art and stick and do
Print
whatever you need
out,
with
put
it.
on cardboard, whatever. We are
Yeah.
gonna actually be offering at some point
Yeah.
a slightly more interesting setup of exactly these tokens, but a bit more durable.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be coming, so we're gonna announce it later on once we have a prototype to show. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful for you guys.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we've had a really cool night tonight. I've enjoyed it. How about you guys? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's like
I'm not too sure. If
I'm
you-
like-
no.
I'm still confused mostly.
Yeah, basically. So
Um,
that's the thing. Terrain is confusing,
Yeah, it
and I'm
is.
sure we all kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
Like I went through that article 2 or 3 times, and I keep going, "What's going on?" Yeah, what you got there on dense terrain? If you have a wound value of 18 plus, you don't benefit from it. That's the best part. Is it's nice because it fixes on the knights, it fixes
And
on the
Mortarion.
titans,
Also,
and Mortarion and
a
all
point
those boys.
also to like, I'm
Yeah.
always a fan of having bases for your terrain. So like this
Definitely.
this terrain doesn't have any a base on it, neither does one. But according, it's like having a base that has you like this is area terrain. If you're on this base, you're in the terrain. If you're not, you're not. But it has some like weird consequences for if the terrain, the wall goes past on the outside.
Yep.
Having a knight or some tank just walk up to it and just like boop, stand next to it, and then it's like, well, you can see through this terrain now because I'm in it, so I can look through it. Like, well, and then see a
Not
guy who's
really.
obscuring behind it. So like, according to GW, there's a picture. I think I sent you the one of the ruins and them showing the outline or the inside. That one. So I'm like, area terrain, I think having a footprint on the base is good. I think for obscuring and all that stuff, this is kind of GW's example of what obscuring, what's the words there?
That was the terrain data sheet they got from the top down view.
Yeah, so that little of the terrain,
To
like,
show the magic box.
I think, yeah, having that as being your obscuring bubble, I think will make life a bit easier and less like finicky of like having a tank that shouldn't be in the terrain, that it can't get in the terrain to see through you.
Yeah.
Makes life a bit easier. But like, I think as like starting slow, use this terrain, this terrain, whatever, and then play with it and see what it does. Get used to the rules, how you can hide behind certain things, how the wording plays. Then add more and more and keep going like that. It's probably where we
a
should
safer option.
safe option. Just like to
Yeah.
get used to moving around terrain and getting the cover, not getting the cover, getting the -1, whatever.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, having one more thing before we definitely having barricades or small little like knickknacks on the table
makes
It has become a big thing.
Hell of a thing for the
So
game, definitely.
definitely adds a lot of flavor and a lot of more tactical. Like there's all they do something now. They used to just be like
okay, they look nice.
decorations and they get in the way. Now they actually do something.
That's true. So let's
Right.
go on to
Yeah,
the
we're
last
just kind of
piece of it.
wrapping up for the evening.
So
Thank you
wrap
guys.
for that. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Yeah, it's been a very fun night. We'll see you again next week. Let's see if you guys can start sending us some of the submissions you've done for the painting challenge. I know a lot of you guys were chatting about it on chat. We'd like to see what you guys have available.
Yeah,
What
please.
you want to do. And then, we're going to end off the show with a little video. Something that gave some of us some real excitement. And
No, don't know what you're talking about.
basically is probably one of the coolest things that came out of the preview. And the best part about it is it was a preview, but it wasn't a preview. So
We knew about
it
that.
was there, it was stuff, but holy crap. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just find it here for you quick. So anyway, thanks very much for your evening. See you all again later.
Cheers, guys.
I was their first son, the Prince of Demons, Herald of Kings, cursed to crown my inferior.